Welcome to another episode of Live with Littledata. We're going to be looking this week at Google Analytics and BigQuery. Now, I know some of you might sit there and say, well, BigQuery, what's that to me? I don't know how to use that. Sounds like a tool for a data scientist. I don't have time for that right now. These are all reasonable objections, but I think the message of today's live stream is that it is super easy to set up just a connection that streams all of your raw event data into Google's cloud storage tool, BigQuery. You don't need to do anything with insurance policy. Insurance policy for a couple of things. The first is just an insurance policy against maybe wanting to use another analytics tool in the future. So the ability to port all of your data into another tool. Now, Google Analytics doesn't allow you to do that. Actually, you can't import event history in there, but other analytics tools do allow you to do that. But you can't do it from Google Analytics itself. You can't export all of the actual stream of customer interactions that happened from Google Analytics. You need to store that in a row level form, an event level form in BigQuery with all of the customer attributes, all of the products they looked at, all of the things they thought about buying or did buy or pages they viewed in order to be able to export that in the future. The second way it's an insurance is to just actually insure against the think of it as future-proofing your data needs. So there are lots of modeling and advanced analysis you might want to do that are kind of hard to do with the data in Google Analytics, just because, again, you can't actually get at the individual stream events. You have to take Google's out-of-the-box aggregation of that into users or conversions or so on. And if you have all that raw data, you can, in the future, build something like a product recommendation model or a different marketing attribution model, or a kind of split in your customer base into different cohorts. Whatever it is you want to do, that raw data is absolutely the insurance that you can do that. And then the final thing is that the way I see it is it's an inevitability within the next year that all of these progression we've seen with machine learning and large language learning models, they will get translated into, they will get better at looking at structured data. At the moment, they're very good at actually querying text-based unstructured data. But I'm pretty sure the advances are coming that allow you to just plug in a structured data source, aka a database, and query a natural language what they're doing. So you can ask the chatbot or the assistant, hey, what insights can you get? What are my most profitable customers? What are the best ways of getting more customers to convert? Those sort of things. But you can only ask those questions if the algorithm can access the raw data. Again, very hard for them to draw those insights unless they can work on the underlying data source. So for all those reasons, you should connect Google Analytics 4 to BigQuery today. And I'm just going to walk through how you would do that. So this is based on an article from a help center. Let me just show you that, where we just explain what happens. So first of all, what is BigQuery? Well, it's a fully managed enterprise scale data warehouse. So it allows you to query the data using SQL, which is probably the most common and actually oldest form of database querying, but across massive data sets. So underneath, the data is stored in such a way that allows it to be very quickly accessed. And because it's owned by Google, and because Google want to promote their Google Cloud product alongside Google Analytics, it is the actual connection between the two is free. It's not free to store or query the data in BigQuery. There are costs associated with those. But from our point of view, all we want to do at this point is just store the data there. And I would say the costs there are not nothing, but they're trivial. For a large brand doing thousands of orders a month, we've seen the cost to be around $50 a month. So if you're doing less than that, then it's going to be $10, $20 a month. And so how does it compare to Google Analytics itself? Well, as I said, Google Analytics only stores data points for a maximum of 14 months. So first of all, you just can't go back in time for that long. BigQuery is permanent. And think of BigQuery as a long-term data source that your brand owns. You actually own the event data there. With Google Analytics, you have a perpetual license to go and access the data. Google's not going to cut you off from Google Analytics, but you don't actually own the data in the same sense. Right now, what do you need to do to set it up? Well, the first thing you're going to need to do is have a Google Cloud account. Now, I won't lie, setting up the billing here is probably the simplest, the hardest single step. But I do already have a cloud account, and in fact, it's already going to take me to our main store, which is actually the project I recommend. So I can just go here and show you quickly. Here's one I set up earlier. So this is my SQL workspace. This is for our merchandise store. So all the data we capture on our own shop, shop.littledata. Sorry, I realize I'm showing the tab. Hang on a moment. I need to share this window. There we go. Right, so this is our merchandise store. We've got all of the people ordering merchandise. That's all there. So let's go and look into BigQuery itself. Right. So this is our test account set up here. If I just close down this tab, you can see it in a bit more detail. Right, so we can see here our connections. So we can see, right, we've got an external connection to analytics, and we can see all of the events streaming in here. So this is kind of how it looks in BigQuery. I'm not going to run a query, but just to then let's sort of see how you might do that from the other end. Okay, so let's take a step back, and I'll run it end to end for you. So in BigQuery, as I said, first of all, we're going to need to set up a Google Cloud account, assuming you have one, or you can set one up. I will skip that stage. I'm going to set up a new project. So I'm going to call this, test BigQuery project. Doesn't need to be anything fancy. I can't change it later, but I'm going to delete it anyway. I'm going to set it down to this organization and Littledata and create that. So it's just spinning up now. Our project is not necessarily a BigQuery project. It's just basically a container within Google Cloud. So it could be anything. I'm here in the SQL workspace, but I'll just take a step back to the dashboard for this project. So currently there's nothing set up here. Got no billing, but I could set up a BigQuery instance. So you'll see with this project, there's nothing here. There's no external connections, no data in here. Right, so I've got my project set up. Right, so next step is I need to actually create a service account for Google Analytics. So this is the permissions that Google Analytics needs to access it, to access and send the data in. So what I'm going to do here is go to IAM and admin, and I'm going to go to service accounts, which is here. And you see there's no service accounts now, so I'm going to create one. And I want to give access to what's called Firebase measurement, is what they call a service account. So let's just call this, we'll call it Google Analytics. Right, so the service account ID is basically this. No, sorry, 1 moment. I have to go back to, excuse this, I'm just going to go back to our other projects to show you how I've got it set up here. Yeah, so here we go. So with the other project, you see I've got this service account set up. So let's just manage details. Yeah, so this is the email GA import. So we'll just go back to our other project, test BigQuery project. Right, create service account. GA import. Okay, I'll copy that to clipboard, and this is just the GA for import into BigQuery. I want to give it an editor role. So it needs to be a BigQuery data editor, and I'll give it a BigQuery resource editor as well. Continue, and I don't need to grant any users access. Okay, right. So now I'm going to go back to Google Analytics. So I'm going to go to Google Analytics. I'm going to set this up for our, now, as you saw before, we've already set it up for our merchandise store. This is the back end, the admin settings of that. And we see the BigQuery links over here. We've already got that set up. So I'm just going to leave that there. And I'm going to go to a different account just to show you links. So I'm going to go to one of our test accounts, another empty property. Right. So I want to link. Sorry, slow down a bit. So I'm under here under admin. I'm going to go to BigQuery links. There are no BigQuery links set up, so I'm just going to click link. And now I have to choose that project to set up. So I'm going to choose the BigQuery project. Now, this comes up as the first one because it's the one I've been recently editing. So confirm. Now, note that I need to set up that configuration first. So that's why I can see this project, because I've set up that access. Right, so I can choose where I want to store the data. So that's kind of important jurisdiction-wise. You probably want to store it where your company is headquartered, and you can choose just US or EU, or you can actually specify a particular Google Cloud region. So, for example, Asia South or Europe North. I'm gonna just do EU. We're happy with that. Right now, I haven't got any events. So basically, I'm just in this property. I've just got one and one stream selected, but you can basically selectively include different data streams or not. I just recommend capturing all data streams. We don't have any mobile app data streams here, but I would include that if you do. And I want both of these types of export. So I want daily export, so all of the data from one day into a table, and I also want the continuous export, streaming. Again, just gives flexibility for future use. There's no real downside here. Right, so I've got the data configuration there, and I'm just going to hit submit. And then link created. That's really that easy. You'll see the project there. Now, I would see something happening here, not let's go back to Google Cloud, cloud.google. So set expectations. Might take a few hours for that data to appear here. So I'm just going back to the Cloud Console. I've got the test project set up. I'm going to see the same the same thing. So again, if I go back to run a query in BigQuery, so I'm not going to see those tables yet. So just be patient. Might take a few hours to set up. Might take a day. But you're done. You've got your insurance policy set up. You've got the streaming set up. Perhaps just to answer a few basic questions you might have. Again, just going back to cost. Very cheap to store on BigQuery. Typically around. So it increments for each month of data you got stored on there, but maybe might cost you a few dollars per month of data. So over a year, storing a year's worth of data on there might cost you, as I said, maybe $30 to $50 a month. More expensive to run the queries, but as I said, you can worry about that when you get there, and there's certainly some ways you can optimize that querying in the future. Allows you to export the data to anything else. So there are a number of ways you can get the data, for example, into a different data warehouse like Snowflake or Amazon Redshift. It's not that straightforward. You have to go to Google Cloud Storage and then have an exporter, but Google Analytics only supports the raw export into BigQuery. So what I recommend is set that up first and then worry about what is the chosen tool. You don't have to use BigQuery to run the analysis. Think of it as just a conduit through which your data is flowing. As we showed, there is a real-time data feed, and that's kind of a few minutes delayed. So it's not like seconds real-time, but might be useful in the future for doing more kind of real-time reporting. Again, this solves one of the major limitations of Google Analytics, which is that the reporting is delayed. Typically up to a day before you can really see reports. So if you really care about hour-by-hour analysis, then using Data Studio plus BigQuery is a much faster way of getting those reports. And it works really well together. Google's made it super fast to integrate BigQuery into a Data Studio project. And then, is there a limit to the amount of data you can then export? So in the free version of Google Analytics 4, Google exports a maximum of 1 million events per day, 30 million events per month. Now, that's I would say a soft limit. I actually haven't heard of anyone being enforced, but probably will be as Google gets around to commercializing this over the next year. I would say that if you've got probably, if you think about it in terms of monthly orders, let's say you're doing 10,000 orders a month, I would expect that you have maximum of a few hundred events per customer. Let's call it 500 for argument's sake. So that means 10,000 orders would generate generate about 5 million events a month. So you're still not getting close to that. I think you have to be doing more than sort of 20,000-30,000 orders a month to worry about that limit. And you can extend that. You can pay for Google Analytics 4 360, which would have a higher limit, but that's in the free version. It's 1 million events per day. You can also filter out events for the data stream, so you can, for example, slim that down quite easily by not tracking product list events, product list views and clicks, some of the most common events that attract with Littledata. But the brilliant thing is, as I said, there's no limits to the amount of time you store the data for. It's yours to own. Obviously, you have to pay Google a rental charge to keep it there. But I think given the fast advances in data processing, the fast advances in artificial intelligence around structured data, I think you'd be crazy not to just keep it there as an insurance policy in BigQuery. Follow those steps. It took me under 10 minutes. And see what you can do with it. In future sessions, we'll be talking a bit more about how to make use of that BigQuery data. So thanks for following me today, and we'll see.